We went through 4 years of trying, which was really hard. Trying to have Duke and seeing people around us and friends and family having children, and we were unable to have a child. There was 4 years of hardship, but I think only me and Ali were able to see. It wasn't something that we weren't advertising that we were struggling to get pregnant. When everything else came easy, me and Ali met, it was love at first sight. We got married after a short time. We had everything flowing and everything was good, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we're gonna try to have kids, and it was a celebration. It was like, sick, you guys will be pregnant in no time, because everyone else was getting pregnant in our age. So we're like, and then after 4 years of trying, we fell pregnant, and it was like the tide had changed. It was the biggest shift of momentum ever. We had 9 months of positive. It was like celebrating Ali having a bump, enjoying buying all the baby furniture and everything we needed. And it was never a night. It was never a thought, never crossed our minds that we were ever in danger or anybody's life was at threat or were about to lose it all. Even when Ali got rushed into emergency theatre to have an emergency C-section, I remember still smiling. It was only until a code blue got called that we knew something, we're at risk, that Duke was at risk, that Ali was at risk, and that the shit had hit the fan. So we had a longer labour than usual, which was cool. They administered the epidural. When she was hunched over receiving it, Duke kicked, and he managed to kick a hole in Ali's uterus and snag his foot. So his foot became lodged in the uterus wall, and that caused discomfort, but the discomfort quickly went away when the epidural started. So in the emergency Caesar, the midwives reached in, going to pull him out. He slipped and fell back in. She then has put her hand in, identified that his foot was lodged, removed his foot from the uterus wall, causing a larger hole in the uterus wall, and Ali began to bleed, and she lost a huge amount of blood, which Duke was exposed to. There was a 15-minute window where I was asked to leave. I kind of sitting here, Ali to my right, quickly gave her a good, like, I love you, not a goodbye, like I love you, and looked up, and Duke was being led out of the hospital room looking the same blue as this shirt. Like, he went that way and the door shut behind him. Ali was going under general, and there was a nurse saying, hey mate, you need to wait in the hallway. And I kind of walked out, and it was only when I was sitting in a tiny chair in the hallway like this, and everyone else was going about their day, that I really kind of, this is not where I'm meant to be sitting. I don't know where my son is. I don't know where my wife is. I don't know what's happening. That it was like, that was hard. That was like, this is not where we're meant to be. The first couple of months were hard. We had myself, Ali and Duke, one bedroom. Ali was on bed rest for 3 months. So that meant that every bottle, every feed, every nappy change I had to do, which I loved. I reckon for the first time in my life, or the first major time in my life, I felt I had purpose. As rough as those 3 to 6 months were, I was providing, I was helping, I was doing stuff. And then as we fast forward into after 6 months, Ali was back on her feet. She was back at work 3 days a week. Duke was in daycare. My career had gone back to normal. I was back doing the things that I was enjoying. And I mentally felt like I was no longer needed. That's when the mental health started deteriorating. That's when I started to notice signs of unhappiness, like that I wasn't happy with my weight. I'd stopped being happy at home. I was miserable at home. I was snapping at my wife. I was snapping at my son. Again, he's 12 months old. It's not like he's a 6-year-old you're arguing with. It was a baby. And I was angry to be walking down the stairs. And that's something that I shouldn't have been angry. I should have been happy. And then I knew that we'd been through trauma. Like, it didn't take an expert to realise what we'd been through. It was pretty big and pretty, like that. The 15 minutes in that hallway were going to catch up. And it come to the point where My wife, who had been so supportive with, yeah, go train, babe. Yep, I'll take you in the morning. Hey, babe, go take some photos. You know, figure out what's making you happy, go back and do that again. That's cool. And all of a sudden, I'm laying in bed with her at night, yelling at her, angry at her, who'd just been through this massive life-threatening ordeal with her son, had just been the most supportive wife, and I'm trying to find reasons to start fights with her just so I can be angry. She actually turned around and snapped and said, I don't know what to say. I don't know what response to give you to stop you from being so angry. And it really, it hurt me. It was that moment that I was like, okay, if I can't be happy with my wife and child who I almost lost in a house that I love, that this is not something I can control. This is something bigger than me, and I need help. I need to go see a GP and figure out what's happening, because this is not your normal. Sitting in the GP, I didn't know what the GP was going to say. I was trying to almost look for a Facebook survey of yes, no, what you know, hey, you've got this or you've got that. I didn't know what it was, but I was also very relieved to be sitting in that waiting room to know that it was about to be labelled. So when I walked in, I sat down, and funnily enough, it was a survey, like a Facebook survey they use from the Black Dog Mental Health Institute to establish what areas of your life are making you unhappy and happy. And she went through all the answers, and she was, mate, with the story you've told me and what's happening in your life and the areas of your life that you're angry, she goes, you have PTSD. And I was like, sweet, cool. She's like, oh. I was like, and she's like, yeah, that's okay? I was like, yeah, yep. I talk about my mental health all the time. I'm happy I've got a label now. You know, you tell me what to do now. I'm happy to go forward. And she's like, oh. Got in the car, sat in the car, and just cried my eyes out. Uncontrollably cried my eyes out, and didn't know what to do or who to ring or where to turn or I think that was it. I didn't know who to ring. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to ring my wife. I couldn't ring my dad. I was like, I didn't know what to do. So I sat there and cried for a long time. I was, like I said, I was embarrassed. I was like, I help people with their mental health problems. I don't have mental health problems. I'm okay with this. And making that phone call to a therapist and book an appointment was the hardest thing I've ever done. Sitting in the chair, talking to that therapist, greatest thing I've ever done. Talking to a third party who doesn't know you, your family, your friends, doesn't have preconceived judgment on who you think you are, or your social media account or your lifestyle choices, that just wants to sit there and hear what's happening in your head, is the greatest thing you can do. Because you can say things that you'd never tell your mates, you'd never tell your family. You can just pour it out, and it's judgment free, and you walk out of there 40 kilos lighter, 50 kilos lighter. Like, it is the best thing. I found a happiness in doing a swim run. I knew I could ride a bike. I wasn't playing rugby anymore. There's a massive competitive part of my life missing, a camaraderie part of my life missing. I didn't know how to itch that. I didn't know what to do. So the triathlon world was something that was like, well, I'm running and swimming, I can ride a bike. I wouldn't mind having a look at that. And I'm very lucky in this modern day that we have Instagram. Following the Bondi lifeguards in the eastern suburbs that you do, I had Reedy popping up doing triathlons, Clint Kimmins. There were so many cool athletes doing triathlons, and there's nothing better than seeing someone in the TT position on a bike. I remember seeing a photo and just going, that's sick, I just want to do that. The first story that everyone ever talks about with triathlon was me. I got changed at every transition. It was a small distance one. I borrowed a mate's bike to do it on that was the wrong size. And I had strangers I'd never met before cheering me on a Sunday morning in a park somewhere. I finished and I felt really good. And then I got my time. I was still on the endorphins from training. I really enjoyed it. Got my time, went, that's embarrassing. That's terrible. Triathlons are rubbish. I'm never doing that. I hate running. And then like 2 days later, I'm looking at my times again on a spreadsheet going, if I didn't spend 2 minutes getting changed, if I didn't spend another minute, getting out of my swimmers, I could take 5 minutes off the time the next time I went there. signed up for the next one. And then I was like, it's got me. This is what happens, this is what gets people. So I did my next one, same thing, knocked off 5 minutes off the time. Little gains, little wins, felt immensely better. And then it became goal setting. Okay, sick, I've done 3 club races. What next? Pick a bigger event, pick a longer event. And I did, I booked in a longer distance event. Rang one of my mates, I stayed at his house up at Foster. I rang him and I said, mate, I've bitten off more than I can chew with this one. And he's like, it's the only way you find out how much you can eat, mate. I'm like, he was probably the best person to ring. I was like, sweet, okay, cool. Then you start doing triathlons, doesn't matter how big or small. Like those small sprint events, there was 50 people in a park and it felt like there was 500 because everyone's so happy. And before you know it, I'm so glad triathlon's in my life. When I started talking about Ironman, I started thinking about that as a goal setting thing. There was talk that lonely, hours on end, like, you know, managing recovery and your nutrition and the financial outlay and how hard it can be. And it had this real negative flow on about it, that if it was something that you wanted to do, that it had to be done on your own and it had to be done away from everyone else. And that's not something I want to do. So that was one of my main motivations with training and setting the training block, was making my family a part of it. To have training partners like I have, not only the guys that I'm going up with, but the other clubs up and down the East Coast that have shared advice or messages, or that have jumped on the back wheel, or I've jumped on their back wheel. Like, it was the polar opposite. I don't think I've done 2 sessions in the last 4 months on my own. The rest of them have been with mates or with community, and that finish line's going to be, first priority is finding Ali and Duke and giving them the biggest thank you, because there's zero doubt that I wouldn't have been there without them. Like, that is everything about Ironman, it's them. And then, where are the boys? Like, what time did they do? I know the sacrifices they've made, I know their goals. I just want to know what everyone else did. I just want to celebrate everyone else's medal as much as I want to celebrate my own. I was watching promotional videos for Ironman Australia at 2 a.m. in the morning. On the edge of tears, there's something about a musical montage and Pete Murray's voice, and watching somebody, not watching the athletes, watching the everyday athletes go up Matthew Flinders. I was watching that, envisioning Pete Murray say my name. Like, I feel like I know Port Macquarie, the course, like the back of my hand. The idea that now in a week and a half, 3 years of visualising something, it's about to happen, is really, really exciting. It's like standing out the front of, you know, Willy Wonka's chocolate factory with the key going, we're about to walk in. Like, and anyone I spoke to, the red carpet, the Monday after, the medal, like, there's so much that comes with it. The stories you hear from athletes, that same community I have supporting me, have done Cairns, I've done other ones. They're like, there are some stages of the ride and the run that you're beside someone. You don't know them, a bar of soap, but you guys will have 5Ks together. And you might talk for 5Ks, but you're beside each other. You finish and you hug, or you see each other at the pub later, or you see each other the next morning recovering. And they're the really little things that I'm looking forward to. Like, the medal would be great, but I'm looking forward to the little stories that happen from driving into port to driving out of port. I know a lot's going to happen. All the way from the swim, the ride and the run, all the little parts around it are going to happen. It's going to be special.
Mate, we were fairly calm and collected. We packed 2 days before we left. We had everything ready, and it didn't hit until my phone started ringing. There's people like getting in early to ring to say good luck, or, you know, where are you, what's going on? And then we turned right, coming through Laurelton, coming through the south end of the course, and then it kind of was like, oh, the next time we see this, it'll be on a bike, or we'll be on this way. And then you start seeing other people on the course, and you start seeing, we followed a car in that had an I love IM number plates. It was like a real surreal, oh yeah, we're in town now, this is what we're here for. And then athlete check-in, Bex, who's been with us before, he asked shortly before we were going through, he's like, mate, how are you? He goes, you excited? This is the start of your Ironman journey. I'm like, yeah, man, it's cool. We'll go through, get our thing. And then as soon as I hit the first volunteer at the gate that was asking for my ID, it got real. That was the first. It doesn't matter how many times I'd envisioned the swim, the ride, the run. That's okay. That's the 3 exercises. Having a team of volunteers cheering your name, ringing the bell, all reassuring you about the course. And it was like having my parents or grandparents there saying, hey, you're here, welcome. Like it was such a warm atmosphere. Even before I got out, I had a volunteer hug me out of excitement that it was the first one. And I literally finished and got my stuff and got all my kit. I wanted to turn around and walk back through and thank everyone because it was so nice. Or go back through and do it again. It was an unexpected little Ironman mini journey in itself just to get through that. It's a weird relationship to explain. It's a weird friendship that I have with the group of people here. I think when you have a goal and you achieve a goal on your own, it's like a self-fulfilling thing. Like you're stoked for yourself. But to be surrounded by 4 people training for the same goal, the whole journey's been amazing. Like every step, every little twist and turn. If somebody's having a bad day or something happens in their training, you have 4 other people to build them up. And then if someone has a great day, you've got 4 people to say, mate, that's a great day. Like you're fine. It literally has brought us closer together. I don't think we'd be as close as mates if we're doing anything else. If it wasn't for the training block, if it wasn't for moments like this is nice. Like this is like 2 nights before, dinner, having a chance. Like if it wasn't for them, you'd be sitting here just thinking, oh, race nerves, have I got this, have I got that? It's just the best distraction, and we're all well aware that we're helping each other. It's just such a, I struggle to find the words. It's like self-fulfilling, like just self-fueling friendship. Like it just builds. I can't wait now. We've all been spread out over the last 3 months. Now we're all in the same house, same focus, and it's going to be a big day on Sunday. Kind of sad. I'm like as excited as I am. I can't wait to rip in and see that red carpet. The whole build up to this, and I know it's the same for a lot of people, hasn't been 3 months. It's been 2.5, 3 years. It's been longer for some people. Some people can't find that window in their lives to dedicate the time to train. And I've managed to find a window that worked with work, with my family, with my friends, with this group, that everything just aligned. Come Sunday when I hit that finish line, it'll be time to celebrate, but it'll also be time to actually go, all right, that's done. Like what next? So yeah, I'm sad but excited. There's a lot of feelings going on at the moment. It's been 4 years with PTSD. It's been 3 years with an Ironman as a goal. It's been 3 years of training, 3 years of checking event updates, emails, being told it's flooded, being told it's COVID. 3 years of 4:30 a.m.s and having that goal there. At one stage, probably the first prep, I wanted it to be over. So it was over, it was finished. But after 3 years of training and seeing what training has brought to my life and having a goal has brought to my life, I know that it's not the finish. It opens up so many more possibilities in my life, in my own happiness, in my family's happiness, that I can set a goal, I can set targets in my life. My son, I can teach him how to set goals, my wife. It's just the celebration of what can be achieved if you buy the ticket and take the ride. I know my story's worth telling. It's a hard story to tell. It's been a hard journey. But I know in telling it, there's people getting substance out of it, and it might be motivating somebody to make that change in their life and pursue just a happier version of themselves. But I never knew, I still kind of play it down and I still kind of make it really small, and the amount of people that I don't know from a bar of soap that ran past and introduced themselves or said, "G'day, love what you're doing, your story's amazing," or "Love the suits, followed you guys on Instagram." It really caught me off guard. That whole run leg, it kind of felt cruel, the whole run leg that you run past that finish chute. And then especially when you're on your first lap or your second lap and you hear the pros being announced, and then you're like, okay, and then you start hearing, "You are an Ironman." And as soon as that sun went down, you can hear Pete Murray's voice on the far end of course announcing that people are Ironman.
And when you've still got 2 laps to go, it's like, that's cruel. Like, you know, turn his mic down a little bit so you don't have to hear that. When I went past it for the last time, knowing that I was coming back and that was it, that I was heading straight in, I took a moment to, probably about 2 Ks out, to kind of gather myself and chest out, shoulders back, and enjoy the last 2 Ks, knowing that everything that I've been thinking about for the last 3 years was 2 Ks away. And yeah, I was actually going to go slow up that finishing line and absorb it and take it all in. And then as soon as you see the chute and the finish line and everyone at the end there, I can see Ali and Duke in the eye line. So that easily was my quickest 100 metres of the day. Like, I could not stop. I just wanted to get it done. And it exceeded expectations, and my expectations were huge to begin with. In that hospital room, they both never quit. No stage did Duke quit. Ali lost 3.8 litres of blood, very close to falling asleep or going into cardiac arrest and not being here. She didn't quit. And I just felt it'd be nice to have something on my resume that, or something in my life that showed that I don't quit either. To have those guys at the finish line and to be able to celebrate that, I think that's the first thing I said to Ali at the end, was I didn't quit. And an Ironman pales in comparison to what both of them went through, but it's still significant for myself to be able to throw that up there on the mantle place at home.